Today's lesson on life is second time around. We've been talking about relationships all month, and I'm so excited to have two special guests with me, Mr. Antonio and Miss Christina Woolard. Give them a hand.
Thank you.
Are you divorced, remarried, widowed, or just done? Some people have been through a lot in their life, and so some people are separated or divorced, remarried, but some people are just done. And so for all of you who are just done with relationships, I hope that we inspire you and encourage you to see that, you know, second time around, it can still be good. Yes. And so over here to Pastor Woolard and his lovely wife, Miss Christina Woolard, thank you again for being here.
Thank you for allowing us here.
And so I know that, you know, you guys have been through a lot and you got a lot of good stuff I want you to share today. But first, please share with us how the two of you met.
Wow, that
always makes couples smile.
That's going to take forever. But anyway,
short
version is my baby sister's a hair technician. She does hair. And Christina is one of her clients. And so she's been going there for a while, but we met before then.
Okay.
We met at a couple of functions before then.
Okay.
And I was still married to my first wife.
Okay.
And we spoke in passing and stuff like that. But anyway, at the salon one night, I drop in on my baby sister just to see how she's doing. And so I see this beautiful woman getting her hair done and everything. And so I'm just, you know, watching her, and my baby sister introduces us, and I'm speaking, and so we go through this thing. And so after her hair was done and everything, I just kind of walked her to the car because she was going through something, and I just talked to her and just let her know that I could be of some assistance to her. I would love to help her out to kind of get through what she was going through.
He was throwing game out?
Yes.
I thought I was being helpful.
And he probably said it in his pastor voice too, didn't he?
Yes, I did.
And I didn't even know he was a pastor.
Exactly. We'll get to that. Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty much how it started.
Beautiful. And if you know them, you think they've been married for ever, since childhood or something, because you guys have a beautiful friendship. You really do, and it shows. So, you know, I'm so glad the two of you came, but I know that both of you have been through something.
Sure.
You know, and I really call it a loss, because I know that, you know, you experienced a loss of your wife, you know, even though it was through separation or divorce, and you experienced a loss of your husband, even though it was through death. Yeah. And so I want people to understand that, you know, whenever I even talk about grief, I talk about loss by death, divorce, or separation, because it still feels like a loss.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it is.
Yes.
And there's a grieving process that happens actually when you go through those things.
Yes.
And so I want to ask, what sort of emotions, if you think back before we come forward, what kind of emotions was happening after the initial loss for each of you?
Okay, well, you want to start?
Well, for myself, it was kind of, you know, I felt like, you know, my life was, you know, another part of me was taken away from me. At that time, I just had my oldest daughter, Shania. She's 17 now.
Yes.
And she was only 5 at that time. So that was, you know, I didn't know how Christina was going to move forward, you know, without my husband.
Exactly.
But with family support and the love and my church family, that's how I made it through.
Beautiful.
I was devastated. I was just kind of crushed. It was almost 16, 17 years invested.
Yes.
Thought that everything was wonderful.
Yes.
Everybody thought we were the perfect couple. I was crushed.
Yeah.
So it took a while for me to just kind of, you know, I even had the feelings of not ever getting married again, but God.
But God.
And when she came along, the man who finds a wife finds a good thing.
You gotta say it like that.
So, but yes, it was very devastating to me, the first one, because of the fact that you had so much time invested.
You do.
And I did my very best, and I thought we were really good.
Yeah,
I thought
together.
we were good, but of course it wasn't like that.
Exactly. And interesting you say, you know, you had that thought, I call it, of, you know, well, maybe I don't want to do this. And I'm asking this for the people who it's still fresh for them, because I know some of the emotions that people feel, and what you've shared are some of those emotions. There are also those thoughts that I'm never going to do this again. If it's going to hurt like this, Lord, I'm not going to do this again. So how did you guys find some practical ways to move forward?
You want to go? Okay.
Anyone should share.
I'll go first. Okay. Well, I kept focused on what I was doing. I kind of buried myself in my pastoralship.
Okay.
And just kind of kept myself in front of God in His presence. Yeah,
Yes.
I stayed focused.
Yes.
I just kind of, I was doing a lot of speaking engagements. I was doing a lot of weddings. I was doing a lot of funerals, which kind of really, and the piece that I do with the children that Stop the Violence Youth Alive piece that I do, that really had me overwhelmed to the point whereas I couldn't do anything but move on.
Okay, so encourage your soul.
Or
And I
let
was going to
people down.
ask, how your faith helped you, with that healing process. And maybe you can speak more to that as well, Christina, how you used your faith to sort of help you to heal and to move forward so that you could be open to meeting someone else.
Just through prayer, and I know prayer changes things in people.
Amen.
So, and then like with, just family support, and also with my children, that
Yes.
kept me busy too. So, that's how I, move forward.
I love that. I love that. So now as you were moving forward, so that now I'm going to get back to the fun stuff. So what attracted you initially? I see y'all are color coordinated today. You didn't even do that on purpose, did you?
No, not really. Yeah. No.
So what attracted you to Christina? And Christina, what attracted you to Antonio?
Well, she's genuine, and she's believable. And she has a sweet spirit. She's not just a beautiful person on the outside, but her heart is sweet. She's real. And so when I talked to her for the first time and found out her genuineness, that changed my mind about being married again.
Exactly.
Right? So.
Love it. And I'm going to say why I'm asking.
Okay, and for my husband, he, at first, I didn't think we was gonna make it, because he's a straightforward person, and I wasn't really used to that in a past relationship, but just by, his love that he showed to me and my children and my family accepted him, and our communication, with him being a much mature man, and I'm a little younger than him, but that's how we.
That's right. Keep it fresh, okay? I tell my
and
husband.
it doesn't matter, as far as the age.
Okay, exactly. When you have that maturity and you have God.
That love,
I think it's great. I went back.
Yep.
I went back.
I just want you to know, put it on record, because I tell my husband all the time, just remember, I'm the younger woman. I'll always be the younger woman. You remember that, Christina, okay? Keep saying that to him, okay? Just want you to know that, okay? So how did you know you were ready? You're ready. You met this person. I'm ready to get married again. For our second time arounders, I'm ready to do this. How did you know that moment?
We made the commitment. We looked at each other and said that, and it wasn't that long. We only had known each other really for, I would say, less than 3 months.
Okay.
And I told her, I said, look, I'm not looking for a girlfriend. And she said, I'm not looking for a boyfriend. So I said, we might as well start dating as we're married.
Okay.
I said, so I need a wife.
So you're courting. You're courting.
Yeah.
Like this is, you are it.
Right.
I'm married.
That's it. No question.
Okay.
It was straight
Okay.
to the punch.
Okay. Chrissy, did you feel the same way?
Yes, it was mutual.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your experience with me. I love you guys so much. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us on It's Life Change. We'll be right back. It's now time for me to speak into your life. We've been covering relationship topics all throughout, and I've been telling you that with this particular segment, we're going to continue to just sort of flow through. So today we're going to talk about the marriage crisis or myth. That's something I really want to educate people on, because a lot of people think that, there's this marriage crisis and it's throwing people into a frenzy about being single or being married. And so I want to break some of those things by giving you some statistics, some communication and conflict management tools. The marriage crisis versus the marriage myth. In my book, I talk about sort of the difference between the two, because if you listen to things like the news, if you look at the news, you'd be afraid to go out of your house because all they tell you about is all the negative things. It's the same thing with relationships. All you hear about are the relationship issues, the concerns, all those things. But I want you to know, as I keep telling you, that marriage is a good thing. Being in a relationship, a healthy relationship, is a good thing. So let me get started, because I have great information to give you. You hear the statistics about 40 to 50% of people, unfortunately, have to experience divorce. You heard it right. You heard it. Negative. It makes you a little bit afraid. You're wondering, am I going to be a part of the statistic? But let me ask you this question. If 40 to 50% of people are getting a divorce, what does that leave? That leaves then 50 to 60% of those people who are still married. You got it. You're with me, right? So I want you to pay attention to what is healthy. Now, for ethnic communities, it's the same thing. It's a little bit higher, but I want you to know that there are people who are making it work. Relationships are doing okay. You just have to choose which side you're going to be on and get the tools to make sure you know how to work your relationship and have a healthy relationship. The research says that men and women are marrying late or not at all. If I remember correctly, when people were younger, they were getting married at 12 or 14. Personally, I don't think that that was a good thing, okay? But that's the way that times were at that time. Some years ago, there was a huge frenzy about people getting married. We had the pregnancy rate was high. Teenage pregnancy was high. People were, just having babies here, there, and everywhere. So what's wrong with getting married a little bit later? Nothing. That means that these young people are taking a second to think about their relationships. Before you enter into a relationship, you need to get some things in order. It should be a little bit of planning should be in that relationship. You should take the time to get to know yourself. Take the time to study, to go to school, to get a job, to make sure your finances are in order. There's nothing wrong with that. So when you hear the statistics about people getting married later, I want you to say, that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. And for those people who are not getting married at all, perhaps they weren't going to get married anyway. There are some people we know, you have aunts or you might have a grandparent or someone who didn't remarry, or you have the person who never got married, the person who never had kids. That's going to happen in society. So don't let the statistics tell you that there's something wrong with relationships. I want to also give you a little something on African Americans. People say that African Americans, are not marrying each other. 89%. Yes, they are. I want you to know that. Hold on to it. People say, relationships are changing because women are in the workforce. Women are too independent. Now, ladies, I got to tell you, because I tell all of my students this, there is a little bit of an issue that I have with you being too independent. But there's nothing wrong with you being independent and trying to take care of yourself. When you're too independent, you bring that stuff into your relationships, whether it be dating or marriage. If you can't allow your husband or your significant other to do anything for you, you're too independent. You need to learn how to be a lady, okay? Also, men, I don't have time to go into deep background, but many of you are a little bit too dependent. That means that some of you don't have a name on a lease or on a mortgage statement anywhere. Your name not even on the electric bill. You don't own anything. What is that about? You still living in your mama's basement? You still at your girlfriend's house? You don't have anything that belongs to you? If any of those things apply to you, and if several apply to you, you're a little bit too dependent. You need to find your independence and learn how to be a man. Have your own things. Have your car in your name, your money in your bank account, your name on the lease. Those are things that are important. I don't have time to go into all of my mother and father stuff, but read it in my book. The crisis versus the myth. I want you to know that there's a lot of things that we could talk about. I think I mentioned on another episode about the no good men. A lot of people say, we're all the good men. They're locked up. They're not in my same class range. I don't like the way they look. Those are things that are really petty. We need to be looking at character. We need to be looking a little bit deeper into what you really want out of this relationship. What's important? I want you to look at these myths and see them differently. Communication. I have to touch on this real quick. Some things are getting in the way of us having great relationships. Communication. What gets in the way of great communication? Positive communication. Pride, personal issues, interrupting each other when you're trying to speak, pulling people into the relationship, as you heard some of our couples say before. Friends, co-workers, family members, taking advice that's not even good. Taking advice from the person in their relationship is nothing that you even want. Mental health issues, and just poor communication techniques. Let me give you a few that are good. Most of you probably heard of things like active listening, I statements, and demands versus requests. I want to give you those three and just a little bit of information so you have something to work with until you buy the book. And so some of you heard of active listening. I always tell my guys, pay attention, okay? Because guys have a tendency not to talk enough, and girls have a tendency to talk too much. And when I say guys and girls, that means all age groups, okay? And so I want you to understand, when you are an active participant in that communication, something begins to happen. Instead of you flipping the TV, instead of you trying to wash the dishes, then you need to be actively communicating. Sit in front of one another and listen to the conversation. Men, tip, I'm going to tell you, your conversation would go shorter, Okay? She would talk less if she feels listened to. But there are things that get in the way and cause us not to feel listened to. Ladies, when he speaks, you say he doesn't talk enough. When he speaks, make sure that you're there to listen, that you respect what he's trying to say. Don't hang on how he's saying and how upset he gets and how his voice is going up. Don't pay attention to that, okay? Now, all of us, we get in trouble for it. None of us are perfect men or women, but these are things that we practice. It's not something like you arrive at. This is something that we strive for. I just want you to have the tips so that you have sort of the ability to catch yourself when you're having these communication issues. I want you to have positive communication. I statements. Anytime somebody does this with the finger, that means you. You means defensive. So if you say you don't, you do, you always, you never, I'm going to say, what? Okay, I'm going to say, well, you don't either. You always or you never. And so your conversation now is not about the issue, but about who's going to talk the loudest and who's going to win this argument. And the last time I checked, you were supposed to be lovers. You were supposed to be friends. This is not about a competition. And so back up off the fingers, back up off of saying you, and learn how to say I feel. Learn how to say this is how I feel. I feel like we don't spend enough time together. I feel like I want to, or I feel, okay? Talk about yourself. Third thing, demands versus requests. No one likes being told what to do all the time. And sometimes in our rush, we can do that too much. Okay, it's not saying it's not going to happen, because it shouldn't. You have to remove those things like we talked about with our couple who was here before. We have to sometimes remove all that stuff. The person's trying to tell me what to do. It's not about that. Sometimes you're like, can you get me that? Okay, okay, you can pass on that. But we have to be careful not to say those things. And more importantly, to say more thank yous. I love you. I appreciate you. When you focus on those things, say those things. I know she loves me. I know she knows I love her. I know he loves me. He doesn't have to say it, or I don't have to say it. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Okay? It's just like children. You can say, my child knows that I love him or her, but do they? Do they? People don't always know. You need to say it. You need to show it. Active listening, remember I statements, demands versus requests, and making sure you appreciate your spouse or your significant other. I don't have time to go into conflict management, but I want you guys to know this one simple trick. I have 3 in my book, but I want to tell you about keep it simple, sweetheart. KISS, okay? Keep it simple, sweetheart. I took this from men and women. That means you should spend more time on the solution during conflict than on the conflict. Don't talk about it for days and days and hours and hours and on, and then you just going in circles. Try to focus most of that time on what are we going to do about it. That's the only tip I have for you. So I want you to hold on to that, because we have more for you on next week. We're going to give you more information on different things. And definitely you want to stay tuned, because we're going to talk about emotional versus sexual intimacy. God bless you. I'll talk to you next time. It's Life Changing. It's now time for our community resources. And we have back on the show, I want you to welcome Pastor Antonio Woolard and his lovely wife, Miss Christina Woolard. And I want to talk to them about just a couple of things before we wrap up the show. But I want them, because they have such a lovely relationship and a warm friendship, because those are things that are important, to offer some advice to those who are going through sort of this whole second time around. They're not sure if they want to do this again. They're on the fence about moving forward. And because of that loss, that great loss, and whether it be through divorce or through death, some people, especially women, don't move forward. We know from research that a lot of times men move forward a little bit quicker, a little bit easier. Sure. But for a lot of women, they will stay single until death.
Yes.
Until death.
Sure.
And I don't think that God means for you to be alone. And I know some people believe you can only have one great love, but I think that God just wants you to be loved and not to feel alone. So sure. What are some advice that you can give to those folks who might be a little bit on the fence about moving forward?
I would just say, soul search your heart, really. Soul search your heart, and dig deep, because you want to know that you can move forward. Number one,
beautiful.
You want to know that God is present,
yes,
and that you can always go to Him and lean on Him. But you want to be able to at least know that you can be loved again.
Yes,
that's number one. I think that's what helped me is that. I felt betrayed in the first.
Yes.
and that was kind of hard for me to get through. And but then God sent her along to actually help me trust again.
Yes.
And so, but I soul searched.
Yes.
I did search.
Yes.
And
I
I took my time. Yeah, even though we had this 3-minute window, this 3-month window rather, 3-month window, but I still took my time.
Exactly.
I soul searched myself.
I love that.
And so, yeah, you can move forward.
I like that, because you do have to do that soul search and that piece for you, because what we didn't get a chance to really explore was all the hurt, all the pain, all the mistrust, all the things. Even if it was by death, you still get mad.
Yes.
How could you leave me here with my kids so all alone? You know, we said we would be together. And so there is some anger that might go along. There's some bitterness. And, you know, if there was some adultery, you know, there's a lot of feelings. And so I don't want to take away those feelings for those who are still hurting. But I love that Pastor Willis said you have to search yourself to see if you're ready. And you got to do some forgiveness. You got to do some soul searching. You got to do some sort of getting rid of some of that pain first before you take that into, because you don't want to be treating, like I always say, Sam, your current husband, you know, Willie, your last husband, because they're not the same people.
That's
okay,
right.
and Sam didn't do anything to you.
That's right.
Sam didn't hurt you. Okay, and so you can't be blaming that new person for the things of the past.
That's right.
And so I love that we talked about the soul searching. Anything else that you'd like to add for the advice to women who are trying to move forward too?
What I can say from just experience, I got married, you know, at a young age. It was 22.
Okay.
But I know through faith in God, if you
Yes.
continue to trust in Him, it's somebody out there for you, because He don't want us to be alone.
Yes.
You know, women, to
Yes.
be by yourself. So.
Exactly. And I love seeing the good thing. I think sometimes too, when you're younger, you're more, able to embrace going into a new relationship too. And I think a lot of times if you take too much time, you sort of get comfortable too. It's like being single for a long time. Don't mess with my popcorn.
Yeah.
Don't touch
That's
my
right.
stuff.
That's
You
right.
know, and now you're trying to join forces with someone, but you've been single again for so long, it's hard to embrace. So I love that you said that, because there is someone for everyone. And I'm so glad that you guys found that in each other.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm glad. Who? Got me a winner. Got a winner here.
This is a win-win situation right
Got a
here.
winner here.
Okay.
Yes.
So before we go, I wanted to ask Pastor Willard if he would say a prayer for all of my second-time arounders. And so right now, if you will pray with us, I'd like to have him pray for all of those who are still dealing with that hurt and trying to move forward. Pastor Willard.
Yes, let's go to the throne of grace. Father in heaven, we love you and we bless you. I want to thank you for this time of assisting those who are hurting and grieving and have pain or any type of suffering from past relationships, that you will touch their hearts and touch their minds, and from the crown of their heads to the sole of their feet, that you will bring healing, you will bring deliverance from giving them the things that they need to operate in forgiveness, and those things that they need to operate in integrity, sincerity, genuineness. Dear God, just help these people that are struggling today, that are wrestling with the different devices and the ills of being hurt and being put down, being betrayed, whatever the case may be.
Yes.
And we just bless you right now for what you're doing in their lives, to give them another opportunity to let them know that being remarried or marriage is a wonderful thing. It is a gift from you. And we bless you and we love you. And let everybody who love him and agree say amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor Willard, for that beautiful prayer. Remember that you can contact me if you need life, relationship, or career coaching. You can go to my website, go there and check out the 2 newest books, Peace Program, the Multi-Ethnic Marriage Enrichment Program. Thank you so much for watching. God bless each and every one of you. We'll see you next time on It's Life Changing with me.